American and Canadian scientists from the University of Massachusetts and McGill University consider the sound of these sound frequencies to be the most powerful treatment for the development of children with autism. These frequencies are being offered to parents of children with autism who may have lost hope after trying everything to stimulate communication, promote social interactions, develop motor coordination, and reduce crises and episodes of violence, all while trying to help their children achieve independence. The results are surprising. And the best thing is that this is 100% natural, without contraindications, and you won't have to spend any more on expensive medication and therapy sessions. Don't worry, you don't need to have musical knowledge, singing skills, sound, or be able to play instruments to apply this method with your child. It's very simple, and you'll already see them communicating better, socializing, and developing well in the first few days. Just allow your child to listen to these frequencies for 30 minutes a day, and you'll soon see significant progress. Just like Ashley and Kimberly.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley and my son is using the sound frequencies right now. He had communication difficulties and seizures in crowded places. Today he communicates better. His socialization has improved and he's doing well at school.
I didn't know what to do to help my autistic daughter. She had never spoken a word. It was my dream to hear her say mommy and daddy and complete words. When I started using sound frequencies with her, everything changed. In the first 3 days, I started to see improvements. She really started to let her voice go. Within a week, she was speaking full words. All I can say is thank you.
And now it's finally legal in the United States for the first time since 1957. This year, 3 of the richest American scientists in history spent millions of dollars trying to ban this blessing from ordinary citizens like you and me. But thanks to the insistence of some scientists, after years they managed to finalize the research and everything was validated and approved. Renowned scientists from the University of Montreal and McGill University, in an international collaboration with American researchers, have announced a revolutionary discovery related to sound frequencies and their transformative impact on the development of autistic children and their families. Last year, it was widely featured on Dr. Oz, NBC, CNN, The Today Show, ESPN, and dozens of other major news sources. And today, tens of thousands of people say it has helped in the development of their child with autism, especially in communication and speech development. In fact, what I'm about to share with you is so effective that the U.S. government has patented it, patent number 6430327. And inside the patent, which was filed by the Department of Health and Human Services, the government claims that these incredible frequencies can boost development in autistic children quickly and naturally. A lot of data speaks in favor of exposing pregnant women and newborns to music that promotes the development of the child's brain and inner ear. Well, the impact on children with autism is no different. You'll never again have to deal with people mistreating, mocking, or even bullying your child because of his or her difficulties, or even hear that he or she is like this because he or she is rude, spoiled, or that you just need to discipline him or her better. In a few moments, I'm going to show you these frequencies so that you can start using them with your child today. I'll show you all the science behind how these frequencies work. I'll also share the specific clinical studies that support everything I'm saying. But before I do, I want to warn you, the pharmaceutical companies that control American medicine do not want you to know this. They're afraid because this proven miracle in autistic development is just as effective as therapies and drugs. If this breakthrough becomes popular, it will cost them billions in lost profits. So I can't guarantee how long I'll be able to leave these frequencies active here in this video for you to use with your child. You could come back tomorrow and no longer have this video here. And the same thing that happened in 1957, being banned. That's why it is so vital that you watch this presentation to the very end. Okay, so let me go ahead and give you all the details right now. To you. Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Lisa Mitchell. I'm 39 years old and I live in California. My dream was to have a couple of children, and so it happened. Today I have Amy and Henry, my beautiful autistic son. Now 8 years old, Henry has improved his communication, developed motor, sensory, and cognitive skills, and has completely reduced his crises and violence. He has also acquired many new friends and expanded his capacity for understanding. But it wasn't always like this. The first 6 years of my son's life were very difficult. I was truly on the verge of going mad. I felt completely alone, and I didn't know what to do so that my son could grow up as a normal child. I asked myself every day, why does my son have to go through this? What have I done wrong? Am I doing everything I can to help him? Even though it was hard to admit, I really wanted to have some time to myself, but I don't want to leave my son alone, and I couldn't trust anyone else because I knew that no one understood his reality and always judged him as spoiled or something like that. I had to be strong and persistent to help him overcome all of these challenges and give him the same opportunity that all other children have. Henry's signs of autism started very early. As a baby, I noticed that he never looked me in the eye, not even when I was breastfeeding him, and his little hands were always closed. Nor did he show any sign of understanding when we called his name. I even thought, maybe he's deaf. When he started to walk, I noticed that he always preferred to tiptoe. He jumped around a lot. Sometimes he would run around waving his hands up and down and laughing out of nowhere. At the age of 2, I began to notice the absence of speech. My greatest wish was for him to speak and say "Mummy," "Daddy," or any simple words, but all he did was babble and play with strange sounds that he often made with his mouth. He was hardly interested in toys, but when he did decide to play with the baby carriage, he would lie on the floor and watch it spin for hours. But what really put me to sleep were Henry's crises. He got stressed very easily by noises, closed places, or simply by changing something in his routine. It got to the point where he started hitting himself, and he even hit me, especially if he heard no. When he started going to school, I noticed that the crises increased even more and became even more serious. I think the sudden change in his routine influenced this. After all, during the pandemic, I was with him all the time, and then I had to go back to work, and he started studying. Whenever I picked him up from school, his teacher told me that he couldn't socialize with his classmates, wouldn't talk, wouldn't even play, and would even attack his classmates in class when they were making too much noise. I already suspected that there was something wrong with his behavior patterns, but as a mother, I didn't want to accept it. At family gatherings, my relatives kept telling me that he had a problem because, as well as not talking, he didn't play with his cousins. He just stayed alone or stuck to me. Even my husband kept insisting that I take him to the doctor to understand what was going on, but I fought it. I tried to fool myself that it was just a phase and that he would soon develop on his own. I told everyone that this was his way, that he was shy and closed off. But after a lot of insistence from my husband, I ended up taking Henry to a pediatrician who left me completely frustrated. She didn't even look at my son. And in less than 3 minutes, she said everything was normal, that it was just a developmental delay and would resolve itself over time. She finished the appointment and sent us home. As time went by, Henry's seizures and social interaction got worse. And even though he was already at school, my son's cognitive and sensory development was very weak. That's when I decided to take him to a specialist doctor. We took him to a neuropediatrician recommended by an aunt of mine. Now, I have to confess that I left home that day with a heavy heart. When I got to the appointment, I started talking about what he did, his habits, crises, difficulties in speaking, socializing, and developmental delays in general, while the doctor listened to me and wrote down everything I said on his computer. And when I'd finished, he asked Henry to stand up and repeat some actions he'd said. What I'm going to tell you next struck me in such a way, that I remember it as if it were today. When he had finished assessing Henry, he looked deep into my eyes, took a calming breath, and said these words: "Mom, Henry is autistic, and today he is in grade 3, the most severe grade of all." The ground opened up in front of me. I cried desperately. I didn't know exactly what autism was. I just knew that it was very serious. The doctor told me that with treatment, medication, and therapy, there was a chance that he could develop like any other child. So I figured it out. Even though I didn't have any money, I didn't want to waste any time, and I started to test and try every type of treatment I could find with therapists and even alternative methods I saw on the internet. I tried things like ABA therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapists, cognitive behavioral therapy, nutritional therapy, medication, socialized schools, and even alternative therapies with yoga and acupuncture, as well as the countless methods I found on the internet that promised to help my son develop and free my son from medication and therapies through techniques or using unknown plants. But to my surprise, absolutely none of it had any effect on Henry. I only wasted time, money, and hope for nothing. But I had faith that I would find something. I needed to learn more about autism so that I could help my son. I also wanted him to know how much I love him and that I would do everything in my power to help him. I made the decision that I was going to find out for myself how to help my son develop and give him the same opportunity that other children had. Either I beat this problem or I would die trying. I started scouring the internet, books, magazines, academic and scientific articles, and everything I could find on autism. And yes, I finally found something that changed my son's life, and consequently mine, from water to wine. But in order for this method that I'm about to reveal for you to work, I first needed to understand what the problem was that was hindering my son's development. So, pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you now, because this is the most important part of this presentation. You see, through a study published by the University of Massachusetts in the United States, I discovered that the human brain has something called brain plasticity. Now, brain plasticity is the brain's ability to adapt and change in response to new experiences, learning, and injuries. This capacity is fundamental to normal brain development. Imagine you have a garden with a path, and people walk along the same path every day. Over time, this path becomes well marked and clearly defined. It's easy for people to follow because it's the most traveled path. Now imagine that you decide to create a new path in your garden, leading to a different area. At first, it's just a faint path in the grass, but as more people start using this new path, it becomes more defined and easier to follow. Eventually, it can even become the preferred route for many. This concept is similar to how the brain works. When you learn something new or change a behavior, your brain forms new neural connections. These connections are like paths in the garden. At first, they can be weak and difficult to follow, but with repetition and practice, they become stronger and more established. Over time, your brain gets better at performing the new task or behavior. Brain plasticity is what allows us to learn new skills, adapt to change, and recover from brain injuries. It shows that our brains are not fixed, but can change and adapt throughout our lives, just like garden paths that can be reshaped and redirected. In autistic children, brain plasticity can be different from those without the disorder because it is related to the connectivity between the different regions of the brain. In autistic children, some areas of the brain respond differently to external stimuli. In some areas, the response may be slower, but in others, there may be overstimulation. This affects the ability to process information, adapt to new routines or situations, learn new skills, and develop social, motor, emotional, and cognitive skills. That's why everything you've tried hasn't worked and won't work, because they're methods that don't stimulate this brain plasticity responsible for the development of the different areas of your child's brain. My mind exploded when I understood this, especially when I realized that this brain plasticity could be stimulated to guarantee my son's development in a unique way. But I must warn you, This needs to be done as soon as possible, because the older your child gets, the less brain plasticity they have to be stimulated, and the more difficult their development becomes. So, if you don't want to regret it, you need to act today to make up for lost time and guarantee your child's development. And don't feel guilty that your child is lagging behind when there is a solution. Due to the lack of information about autism, prejudice, discrimination, and government neglect, this information is not available to everyone. What's more, the billion-dollar pharmaceutical industry doesn't want to lose you as a customer, so they do everything they can to hide this information from ordinary people, to force you to use their drugs and treatments that definitely won't solve your problem. To be clear, according to the neuroscientists behind the experiment, the only thing you need to do, and quickly, is to stimulate this brain plasticity. This way, in a matter of a few weeks, you'll be able to notice the difference in your child's development, and they'll be able to overcome all the obstacles and difficulties caused by this disorder. When I understood this, I realized that I needed to look for an urgent treatment that could stimulate this brain plasticity, because with each passing day, my chances and those of my sons became slimmer. I searched everywhere I could on the internet until I found a scientific article from the University of California on the properties of sound. Studies have shown that the entire universe vibrates at certain sound frequencies, and that every being in nature vibrates at a certain frequency. According to the study, the human brain is able to change as it is exposed to different sound frequencies, and demonstrated how certain frequencies in musical tracks were able to stimulate brain plasticity in the development of autistic children. According to the researchers, for more than 70 years, music has provided children with spectacular social, motor, cognitive, and sensory development, making it the best option for stimulating brain plasticity in autistic children. I'll translate this study better. Imagine that your child's mind is like a tree. Each branch and leaf of that tree represents an important skill, such as speaking, socializing, learning, and growing. Now think about music, especially music with certain sound frequencies, like the water you give that tree. When you expose your child to music with these special sound frequencies, it's like watering the tree of their mind. As the tree absorbs this music water, its roots grow stronger, its branches grow taller, and its leaves become more lush. In the same way, your child's abilities begin to blossom. They start to communicate better, socialize more naturally, learn and develop, all thanks to the nourishment that sound frequencies provide to their mental tree. And before you think it, for this method to work, neither you nor your child need to know how to play an instrument, sing, or understand music, or any other property of sound. This was a relief for me, because even though I am a music lover, I've never been able to play an instrument or even sing. Some Canadian researchers from the University of Montreal and McGill University were studying the effects of these specific sound frequencies on their ability to stimulate brain plasticity in autistic children. And in 2019, they recruited 60 autistic children aged between 6 and 12 for a clinical trial involving 3 months of musical intervention. The children underwent MRI scans to measure brain activity, then were divided into 2 groups, one that involved music with specific sound frequencies and one that did not. After the sessions, the parents of the children in the group that involved music with the specific sound frequencies reported significant improvements in their children's communication skills and family quality. This did not occur in the group of children who did not have access to sound therapy. The surprising results of this study revealed significant improvements in several key areas of development. The data indicated interpersonal growth of 87%, a notable improvement in hearing and speech reaching 85%, an 81% increase in academic performance, as well as advances of 80% in learning and 79% in behavior. In addition, they observed a 69% improvement in intrapersonal growth, enabling children to express themselves more effectively. Also notable was a 66% increase in the area of movement, sport, and rhythm, among other significant benefits identified in the study. These improvements highlight the importance of interventions based on sound frequencies. A recent study published in 2022 in the International Journal of Autism showed that music can also help improve auditory perception in children with autism, especially in relation to recognizing emotions. I was amazed when I read these articles. Knowing this, I just had to insert these sound frequencies into my son's routine to stimulate this brain plasticity and finally see him develop. I then began to study sound therapy and took my son to various professionals who used music to stimulate development in different ways. Most of them didn't work, but finally I found a music therapist called Adam who worked with a different methodology that combines music, sound frequencies, and pedagogy. This method creates a connection between the body and the brain and manages to stimulate your child's brain plasticity so that they can develop and overcome obstacles in communication, speech, socialization, and motor coordination. As soon as the first appointment was over, we went home and I began to put into practice everything Adam had given me. Well, I was amazed at how easy it was for Henry to accept the use of sound frequencies, and I loved how practical it was to apply everything. I started to follow everything step by step. I adapted everything to fit my son's routine and reality, making the method unique and personalized for him. Just as Adam taught, I always used the sound frequencies for about 30 minutes a day, incorporating them into activities such as bath time, playtime, during meals, and even while he slept. This gradual and consistent approach allowed my son to become familiar with the sound frequencies in a natural and enjoyable way, making the development process more effective and fun for him. Well, a few days later, Henry began to react positively. Crises were practically non-existent. That was fantastic for me. When he started to form words better with the help of one of the sound frequencies he was listening to, I cried with emotion. And that's when I knew for sure that he really was making progress and developing. His teacher told me that he was starting to interact in class and socialize with the other children. I also noticed that he was calmer and becoming more independent. I was very happy, and so was he. Not only was my son developing more every day and becoming more independent, but I was also finding time to take better care of myself, which I hadn't done for years. Today, we often receive compliments from people who knew Henry's condition. Even my neighbors ask me how he's changed so quickly. A while ago, they were hearing noises of screaming and crying. Today, they say he seems like a different child. Henry has improved so much that in many cases, if I don't mention it, people don't even know he's autistic. I thought that by solving my problem and helping my son, my journey had ended right there. But then an idea popped into my head. What if I could share these sound frequencies and help other parents who no longer know what to do to stimulate their child's development? So I went to Adam's office and I pitched the idea of bringing this to more mothers, fathers, grandparents, and people who work with autism. At first, he didn't want to. He said it wasn't a good idea because unfortunately, even if he wanted to, he wouldn't be able to see everyone and explain these musical applications step by step. There are more than 2 million autistic people in the United States alone. He also told me that it would be a waste of time because many mothers wouldn't believe in the method, even with all the scientific evidence that it works. And so I kept insisting and came up with the idea of making all these exclusive sound frequencies available through an online platform so that they could listen and download, so that the whole method would be available for anyone anywhere in the world to access and use as often as necessary. After much thought, he agreed. And this is how the method we call Fundamental Music Therapy for Autistic People, or FMA for short. To make it easy, this is by far the fastest, safest, smartest, and only possible way to stimulate your child's development at home through music, using specific sound frequencies that work the brain and body simultaneously. Through FMA, your child will reduce seizures, develop speech, start to understand everything you say, start to socialize, reduce stress, be able to sleep normally, develop behavior and motor coordination, learn to deal with emotions, as well as greatly stimulating intelligence through exclusive sound frequencies. Your child will also learn to be more independent and perform simple to complex tasks on their own. And the best thing is that you don't need to know how to play, sing, or even understand music for this to work. FMA provides everything your child needs to start developing in just a few days, all in a simple and practical way. We know that every mother doesn't have a lot of time, so this method won't take up much of yours. All you need to do is access the FMA, which is 100% online on your cell phone or computer, follow the application schedule, which is detailed step by step for you to apply with your child, and then you'll soon notice their progress. This is a unique and exclusive method that is not available anywhere else. It's so simple that absolutely anyone can apply it. It's real and 100% functional. It took years of research and improvement to arrive at what it is today. This method will give your child a decent quality of life. It will give them a fair future with the same opportunities that any child has, without any obstacles getting in the way. It will give you more time to carry out your activities at home, at work, and also to concentrate on taking care of yourself. After all, you deserve it. Since we started promoting this method on the internet, more than 2,478 children have already been impacted by it. And I'm about to show you how you too can bring about this transformation for your child. But first, check out some of what you'll have access to in Fundamental Music Therapy for Autistic People. Preparing the right environment. Start transforming your child's life by creating a musical environment that stimulates the brain, reduces seizures, and helps overcome cognitive, sensory, motor, and social obstacles. Learn how to choose the best places in the house, avoid sensory overload, and include sound therapy in your child's routine. Developing communication. Learn how to stimulate your child's speech development through the right sound frequencies that activate the region of the brain responsible for speech quickly and easily. Improving motor coordination. Discover how simple movements such as clapping, dancing, and using toys they like can stimulate motor coordination and activate the cerebellum, the region of the brain responsible for this function. Developing socialization. Discover how to develop your child's social interaction using strategically chosen sound frequencies that stimulate the region of the brain responsible for social interaction in a natural and fun way without making the child feel uncomfortable. Improving sleep quality. Discover music tracks that use the right sound frequencies to calm and help your child fall asleep. Your child will fall asleep more quickly and have a better quality of sleep. Exploring sounds. Discover how music can boost autistic children's brain development with its wide variety of sounds and patterns, with different types of sounds from nature to musical instruments, and even everyday sounds. Your child can have fun and be stimulated at the same time. Musical games. Discover how musical games can be a fun and educational way to stimulate your child's creativity and imagination. This is a simple and effective way of getting your child to have fun and learn at the same time. All this and lots of practical, simple, and straightforward content that, when practiced together, not only stimulates your child's development, but also reduces stress and crises. Now, you're probably thinking that this method that does all this costs a fortune, and it really should. After all, could you put a price on your child's complete change? The value of this is incomparable, and people who understand this didn't think twice when they had the opportunity to provide this for their child. This was the case with Amber, who sent us this testimonial thanking us.
Before I learned about the FMA method, I tried various methods and approaches, but nothing worked. I started using sound frequencies with my grandson. Today, anyone who sees him doesn't even know he has autism because he communicates so well, and he has improved so much since we started using sound frequencies.
And also Haley, who said,
I really didn't believe that the sound frequencies would work with my son, but I decided to give it one last chance, and to my surprise, he's responded positively. I've been using it as instructed, which is 30 minutes a day, and he's loving it. I've seen progress. Thank you very much.
Hearing these stories makes me very happy because I remember how difficult it was at the beginning with Henry and how happy I was to have been able to help my son. Now you understand. These mothers valued the transformation it would bring to their children without worrying about the price. And today, you too can choose to join the method now or continue on the same path and spend up to 10, 20, or even 100 times more than the value of the FMA on medicines, therapies, specialized schools, or methods that you've already seen don't work. The clock is ticking, and every day it becomes more difficult to stimulate your child's development. I want to help you and make this decision as simple as possible so that you don't regret it later. My aim is promoting FMA, and it is solely to help mothers stimulate their autistic children's development. But even if I wanted to, I couldn't give you access to this method for free. To keep it always online, we have a team of 17 employees who collaborate with me to make it all happen for you. Support for questions, attendance, designers to keep the site up, programmers to keep everything 100% online, as well as all of Adam's full-time studies and research to keep everything always 100% up to date for you. Do you agree with me that it wouldn't be fair to give away these people's work for free? But even so, exclusively today, I've decided to do something special for you who have already decided to get access to this method and start using the sound frequencies. The amount originally charged by Adam to guide all this therapy is $300 US, and that's exactly what I invested at the time for Henry. But today, you won't be charged half of that, which would be $150 US or even $100 US. Only the next 20 people who click on the button, I want access to the sound frequencies button, which will appear below this video, will be able to purchase the entire FMA method for just $39. So don't waste any more time and click now on the button, I want access to the sound frequencies button, and guarantee your access with this unique opportunity. More than 80% off the original price. This unique opportunity is only available to the next 20 people who click on the button below. And don't worry, I believe in the power of this method so much that I'll take all the risks and commit myself to you. By law, you have a 15-day guarantee, but I want you to feel free and safe to test this method without any risk. That's why I'm giving you an extra 45 days guarantee at my own risk. That's right, 60 days guarantee in total. If after applying the whole method, you don't feel any difference in your child's development within 60 days of complete application, just send an email to contact@worldautistic.com requesting a refund, and it will be issued with no questions. To secure your access to music therapy for autistic children and take advantage of the 60-day guarantee, simply click on the button now, I want access to sound frequencies, which is below this video. Think that's it? To show you that I'm really committed to helping you stimulate your child's development in an extraordinary way, I'm going to give you some free bonuses that together would cost more than $400 US. The first is Express Calming, a step-by-step guide with breathing and relaxation exercises that can help children reduce stress and anxiety. The second I call Perfect Family Relationship, a guide with strategic tips to help parents communicate with their child more effectively and maintain a harmonious relationship in the family. The third is Total Sensory, a package of sensory activities designed to help children calm down and concentrate. The fourth is the Food Manual, a complete guide to healthy eating that improves the quality of life of autistic children and overcomes food selectivity. So, click on the button below this video right now and guarantee your access to the method and all the bonuses. See that you have a unique opportunity to guarantee all of this and provide for your child's development for less than $2 a day. Is your child's quality of life and future worth that to you? Just imagine being able to have a peace of mind of knowing that you are doing everything you can for your child, and when you start to notice their development, being filled with pride, peace, and joy for believing and having finally succeeded. Imagine in a few years' time, your child recognizing that they only became a great success because you took an action for them today that they couldn't take. Imagine being able to have the freedom to also have some time for yourself, something you haven't done for a very long time. And no, that's not selfish. You also need moments of your own. But for that, you need to start encouraging your child's independence today. You can have all this right now. Just click on the button below the video and join the group of mothers, fathers, and grandparents who have given their children a new chance. As soon as you click on the I want access to the sound frequencies button below this video, you will be directed to a secure page on one of the world's largest payment platforms, protected by encryption and verified by Google. Register personally and choose one of the payment methods. As soon as your payment is approved, you'll receive your login details by email, and you can get started straight away. So click on the button below, choose your payment method, and join the only 100% efficient, safe, and guaranteed method of stimulating your child's development through sound frequencies. Well, given all this, you now have two options. The first is to pretend that nothing has happened. Try to fool yourself and then come back, secure your access, and leave this page. And then every time you look at your child who has difficulty communicating, isolated in the corner with frequent seizures, without motor coordination, and with various emotional problems, you'll remember this video and remember that you had in your hands the opportunity to solve this problem. In that case, you will have left behind the opportunity to transform your child's life and give them a future without social, emotional, motor, and cognitive obstacles. Or you can choose the second option, which is to guarantee your access to FMA and give your child the opportunity to have their life transformed by this method. And frankly, you have nothing to lose. Only two things can happen. The first is that you apply the method and see for yourself that everything I've told you is true, and then you'll thank me for introducing you to this blessing. You will have made the best choice, not for yourself, but for your child. Or the second option is for you to be the 1% of people who don't apply the method and give up. Or for some reverse miracle, the method doesn't work for your child. In that case, you get your money back. In other words, you have nothing to lose. Your child's development and future are now in your hands, and I know that you will make the best choice for them. I'm ready to send you access to the method to your email address right now so that you can get started. So, click on the I want access to the sound frequencies button below this video and guarantee your access. See you there.